Hi there, my name is Jayson Boyd, and we're back with Dan Watanabe. In our previous segment, you mentioned that you can only hold a job as a development executive for about 10 years. After that 10 years is up and you've seen everything there is to see, where do you go from there?
There's two career paths that you have after that, and both of them are incredibly satisfying, and you'll have probably, by the time you've done it for 10 years, you're already going in one of those directions anyway. The first of the career paths is to do something that's completely strategic. So when you see someone who's running a studio or who's running a production company, they've chosen to go on the strategic side, where they understand how the business flows, how all of the elements fit together in order to do an effective production. They'll know how to strategize when you release something, or if you're in television, what programming you have opposite the show that you're launching. So it becomes something where it's very oriented toward the business end. The other side of it is to go completely creative and become a producer, an independent producer. And even though I said that as a development person, you start running out of an ability to discern when something is new or old. That's when you're looking at a whole bunch of projects coming in at you, and you're having to make those snap decisions. If you are developing a project from the ground up, the fact that you've been around for a while, you know how to make that project work. You know the details that will make it shine and make it stand out from the things that are similar to it. So that's where the benefits of having been in development really kick in as well. So just because you're not going to do hardcore development anymore doesn't mean that you're not going to be using those skills that you learned. It's just that you're going to be focusing them either on a creative end or on a business end, and that's it.
Now you mentioned producing on the creative side of things. Does that also apply to writing and directing as well, or is it mostly just producing because you have to think of the big picture and not the minute details?
It can be as a writer. You can go from being development to being a creative if you were somebody who had that to begin with. But in one of the other of these episodes, I talked about why it is that you don't want to have a writer be a development executive, especially as you go up in the ranks.
Right.
And I'm going to presume that most people, if they weren't talented as writers in their 20s, when they get into their 40s and 50s, that probably hasn't changed. They're probably still very, very good at discerning story and discerning what makes something work. But in terms of them being able to have that energy, that true creative spark, which makes the difference between something that's average and something that's great, they still might not have that.
It's kind of like teaching an old dog new tricks a little bit. Like if you didn't, there's a reason you went towards the development side of things rather than the writing side of things, and you could maybe try and force it, but ultimately it's by that point you should know whether or not, where your strengths lie, I guess is what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And to take it into an analog for you as an actor, if you were an actor who could do a certain kind of role when you were younger, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to be difficult to switch the exact style of performance. Now, we always seen the clowns who want to play Hamlet and vice versa, and sometimes they can pull it off. But by and large, if somebody wasn't talented in one field, they're not going to suddenly gain that talent. If you were someone who couldn't sing when you were in your 20s, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to star in a musical in your 40s and not look ridiculous. So,
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.